Namaste, good evening, and Jai Swaminarayan, and a very warm welcome to the Festival of Inspiration. To celebrate the birth centenary of Pramukh Swami Maharaj, several talented musicians present here today will be playing an elegant range of instruments. These instruments have unique origins, histories, styles, and sounds, and yet their appeal is universal and timeless. Music knows no boundaries, no borders. It flows seamlessly between cultures, traditions, and nations, often binding them and strengthening human civilization. Similarly, Pramukh Swami Maharaj was able to transcend the limitations of race, language, and creed to inspire countless individuals from all sections of society. He also took a keen interest in musical traditions and encouraged many to take their practice to the highest level. The Swaminarayan Sampradaya has a rich tradition of talented musicians, and thanks to the inspiration of Pramukh Swami Maharaj, that continues to this day. Without further ado, let us commence our program with the first instrument, the santor. The Bharatiya santur is a trapezium-shaped instrument which has 25 bridges, and each bridge has 4 strings, totaling 100 strings, and hence ancient Sanskrit texts refer to it as a Shatatantra veena. Just how all 100 strings come together to form this single instrument, Pramukh Swami Maharaj united people from all walks of life to come together in harmony. Let us request Jayesh Panchmatya, who is from the Netherlands, to give us a sample of how the santur sounds. Thank you very much to Jayesh Panchamatia for that awe-inspiring performance. Our second instrument here tonight is a sitar. The sitar is a plucked string instrument and can have 18, 19, 20 or 21 strings. 6 of these are played strings. The remainder are sympathetic strings. Invented in medieval Bharat, it flourished in the 18th century and arrived at its present form in the 19th century. Unlike the santor, the strings of the sitar can be pulled to produce fluctuations in the pitch. Similarly, abiding by the motto of "In the joy of others lies our own," Pramukh Sai Maharaj adjusted his schedule to be in tune with the needs of others. To play a short sample of this elegant instrument, we turn to sitarist Jatin Oza. We are grateful to Jatin Bhai Oza for that outstanding piece. And next we turn to the veena. The veena has 4 main strings, which are melodic, and 3 auxiliary drone strings. To play it, the musician plucks the melody strings downward with the plectrum worn on the first and second fingers, while the drone strings are strummed with the little finger of the playing hand. This instrument is often played by the Devi of arts and knowledge, Ma Saraswati. She inspires countless musical artists, and similarly, Pramukh Sai Maharaj inspired the renaissance of music within the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. Just how artists pay homage and offer their musical talent to Devi Saraswati, many do so at the lotus feet of Pramukh Sai Maharaj. To give us a taster of how this majestic instrument sounds, we have with us a budding young musician from Manchester by the name of Yogesh Patel. Thank you to Yogesh Patel for that stunning performance. We turn to our next instrument, which is a sarangi. The sarangi is a bowed, short-necked string instrument. The typical sarangi is made by hand, usually from a single block of wood. It has 4 playing strings and 17 sympathetic strings. Just like this instrument most closely resembles the sound of a human voice, for many, Pramukh Swami Maharaj was someone who resembled the love and care of a mother and a father, and an ideal friend. We request Anish Chauhan, who has travelled here from Coventry, to play the sarangi and give us a small taster. Thank you to Anish Johan for that amazing piece. Our next three instruments, the harmonium, the violin, and the viola, have Western origins, but have also become popular in the Indian subcontinent. The keys of the harmonium are pressed down just like a piano, but air is pumped through the reeds, which are tuned to different pitches to make musical notes. The violin typically has 4 strings and is most commonly played by drawing a bow across its strings or plucking the strings with the fingers. The viola's tone is darker, weightier, and warmer than that of the violin. And similarly, despite being from a village in Gujarat in India, Pramukh Sai Maharaj had a universal appeal across cultures and countries. We are fortunate to have 3 talented musicians to give us a flavor of each of these instruments. Sadhu Guru Kirtan Das, who will play the harmonium, viola player Tilak Patel, and violinist Rahul Patel. Thank you very much to those 3 performers. We now turn to the next instrument, which is the flute. The flute is a woodwind instrument that is played by blowing across a specially shaped opening in such a way as to produce a vibrating column of air. Flutes are the earliest known identifiable musical instruments, but in Bharat is popularly associated with Sri Krishna, whose divine actions enchanted the gopis of Vrindavan. The gopis once said to Uddhav that if a flute were to be made of their remains, the sound of Krishna, Krishna, would still resound from them. And similarly, every action that Pramukh Sai Maharaj performed resounded with unflinching devotion to Bhagwan Swaminarayan and his gurus, Yogiji Maharaj and Shastriji Maharaj. Let us request Rikhil Rai Taita to immerse us in the notes of this melodious instrument. We are very grateful to Rakil for that wonderful piece. And our final instrument tonight is the pakhawaj. Alongside these melodic instruments, we have a rhythmic instrument by the name of the pakhawaj. Most of us will have heard of the tabla, but interestingly, the tabla in fact originates from the pakhawaj, which was split into two and turned upright into what became what we now see as the tabla. May I request Yatin Pandya to give us a sample of the pakhawaj. Thank you to Yatin Pandya for that amazing demonstration. We note that all of the musicians we witnessed this evening are BAPS devotees. They have spent a lot of time and effort in preparing for this evening. So before we continue into the symphony, please could we give them another round of applause. The santor, sitar, veena, sarangi, harmonium, violin, viola, flute, and pakhawaj. What if each of these instruments were to unite in their expression? If a picture is worth 1,000 words, a symphony of such instruments tell 1,000 tales. Without further ado, let us request each of our talented musicians to blend the sounds from their instruments into a symphony of inspiration. This Symphony of Inspiration is directly inspired by Mahant Swami Maharaj. It is his personal wish that such a symphony is performed in the celebration of the centennial birth year of Pramukh Swami Maharaj. So we now request the vocalists, other rhythmists who have joined the instrumentalists on the stage to conclude the first evening of this Festival of Inspiration. What a way to begin this 10-day festival. Words truly do fall short of describing how amazing this performance has been. We're really grateful to each performer, and in fact I think it's a historic first to see a symphony on this scale and of this kind. So we're very, very grateful for this performance. We've witnessed such a breadth of talent in one evening. So we are grateful to each performer, and indeed the musical future is bright. And I'm sure everybody seated here today will cherish this Symphony of Inspiration for a long time to come. So let's give our best round of applause once more for this amazing performance.